So in this video, I'm going to be doing another full site build. Today, I'm using a tool called tempo.new or Tempo Labs. That's how you're going to find them. And times have changed. Things have changed so much. We can build things in a way that we couldn't build before. So hopefully you're picking up what's going on here. Hopefully you're using this stuff to your advantage, because I certainly am. I am not a coder. But even if you are a coder, this is just going to 10x your work speed. But for the non-coders like myself, the creatives that want to create, now the barrier to entry is almost, there isn't one. So for the flow of the video, I will make chops here and there, but for the most part, it's going to be a raw build. You're going to see everything from scratch. Now, what's different about Tempo is at this stage, I would typically head over to ChatGPT, tell it my idea, and then let it help me build out all the documentation, which is what I always do when I'm building something, whether it's a mobile app or a SaaS tool, again, which we can do here. It doesn't require that. It allows you to give it your idea, tell it your idea, which I'm going to do, and it will build the PRD for you. It's just amazing for planning and keeping that documentation, because if you don't have it, your project is going to go off track and you're going to need to do a lot to kind of get it back to where you want it to be. So if you fully explain in the best way that you can what you want it to do, it's going to help build it out for you without needing to create all of those documents. That's what I'm going to do now. Now, I like to use voice. I've stopped writing all prompts. I use my voice. I talk to the AI. I say it in the way that I would say. So I'm just conveying my thoughts. And I think that's the best way to do it. So if you don't have some sort of voice to text, I definitely recommend installing one, and it's going to improve your workflow like nobody's business. So as I mentioned, the competition is high and there are so many tools on the market, so many tools commanding our attention, and I genuinely think you're going to love this tool. So let me go ahead and give it the prompt. I've got the idea in my head. I want to create a SaaS tool for self-published authors who want to create no content and low content books, like coloring books. The tool will connect to the FAL AI API for generating coloring book style images. It will also need to connect to the OpenAI API for the generation process, and in the back end for smart features. Users should be able to drag and drop elements of the page, change their font, choose the book size and the margins, all of the things that follow Amazon KDP book setup rules. I think that should be it for now. I think I'm going to let it do the rest. So this is my prompt. It's not the elaborate prompt I'm used to doing, but I think that it's going to do a good job regardless. So down here, we can choose the framework. I'm leaning more towards Next.js. Vite will be nice, quick, easy. But from an SEO perspective, I now know I want to go with Next.js. And then of course we've got Expo here for mobile. So I'll probably do a mobile build in the next video, because I've been wanting to build a very specific app. I tried to build in Bolt and I hit this roadblock that we can't get past for some reason. So for now, we're going to go with Next.js. And does it make me suggest Superbase? Okay, wow, we've got framework here, auth database. Okay, this is not compatible with Next.js. So if I use Vite, which it recommends, all right, we'll do what it recommends. But I really want to try out Convex, perfect for your React app with auth data. Okay, I want to try this out. But as you see, it suggests the best stack for you. So we'll go with Vite, and then we're going to do Clerk and Convex, because I've not used it before, so why not? Got way too many Superbase accounts. And then payment wise, I've never used Polar, but I don't want to have to go and set things up that I don't. Let's just do it. Okay, so if I choose Polar, this is good. It's telling me the best stack for what I've chosen. So I chose Vite, I chose Clerk and Convex, but because I chose Polar, it switched it to Superbase. So I'm not going to argue with it. It knows what to do. It knows what's best. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So I typically wouldn't connect to Superbase in the first stage, but it's recommending connecting to Supabase. So we're going to go with what it recommends. We're not going to cause any trouble here. So I need to set up a new database, which is fine. So just give your project a name. That's easy to recognize. It's not going to be referred to anywhere else. I'm connecting to Supabase. I'm going to choose the closest region to me, London, and that's it. Create project. Make sure it's a strong password and so on. So we've got it there. I don't think we're going to be needing this anymore. And connect Supabase to Polar. So that's why it gets you to connect to Supabase, because it sets up the payment for you. And this is going to save so much headache, because so many people, most people that message me are having trouble with setting up the payment system. So hopefully doing it this way is going to save all of the webhook drama, because if you don't get that right, the pain. So now I understand why it gets you to connect to Supabase first, because it's going to set up the payment system for you. So that's going to save you so much hassle. Every time I've seen someone struggling or stuck, it's been to do with webhooks and not Supabase, sorry, Stripe and the webhooks. So this, I'm pretty sure it works the same way with Stripe, but you connect to Supabase, then connect to Polar, which I've never used. So I think it's going to make me set up a Polar account, connect Supabase to Polar. I have to select this first. Okay, that makes sense. All right, so now it's definitely connected. Now it's connected. It's connected now for sure. All right, I don't know if this is sensitive information, so let me look through it. If it is, I'll just block it out. They've got copy this URL to the Polar webhook. I see. And accept payments and manage subscriptions with Polar. So I think I have to go over to Polar now and set that up. Let's see. Learn more. Byte, Supabase and Polar. Okay, we've got some educational content here in this tutorial. Learn how to do it and so on and so forth.
In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to set up V, Supabase, and Polar. We're going to click Generate a Network. Connect Supabase. This pop-up will happen. A new tab will open, or it'll be a pop Polar.
Okay, yeah, we've done
and then
that.
I'm going to click Connect.
Connected, done that. Okay, wait.
That can get SH, not Polar SH. And the reason being is we want to test in a test environment first. We don't want to test with real money, because that can get injured. If you don't already have an account, please do create an account. And when you create a new account, this is where you'll be prompted. So I'll create a new organization. I'll call this V Polar.
Okay.
And we'll just click.
Let's pause that for a second. We're just going to get this Polar set up. So I agree with that. I've done it before where I've tried to set it up on Stripe and went straight into live, and then I had to test with real money, not knowing that I was just supposed to set it up with Sandbox, and then you could make all the tests you need. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm setting up the Polar Sandbox, connecting to organization name. Again, I'm going to keep things consistent. That's not the organization name, but hopefully I can change things later, maybe. Okay, that's created. All right, so that, I think that's what was needed. Now we need to get some stuff, and we're going to make sure that we see how to do that, because we don't always have to stumble around. That's what I'm used to doing, is just learning on the go, but we've got that done.
So now we're going to go to settings, and I'm going to see organization identifier here. I'll copy this.
Hold on, let me and then I'll bring it back over. All right,
I'll go back to Polar. I'm going to scroll down where it says developers, and I see a new token. I'm going to call this test token, if you like.
Let's do it as we go so we don't get lost. So we go, well, this is the ID. I'm going to throw that, where am I? Let's close this other tab. So the ID is the organization ID.
I'll go back to Polar. I'm going to scroll down where it says developers, and I see a new token button. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to scroll all the way down and create.
All right, so next thing we're doing, just like it said, scroll over to developers, get a new token, select all the scopes, expiration. I'm going to delete this right after, so let's just do 1 day, and actually let's just do no expiration. I can always just change it after rather than just cancel myself out. And I'm going to do exactly what he said. So test token, create, and
now I have a new token.
Great, copy.
I'm going to copy this. This is my access token.
And that's our access
Now I have to
token.
set up my Polar website.
And then the
In
webhook.
order to do that, I have to copy this URL. So copy this here.
All right, we're doing it. We're doing
Go back
it.
to Polar, scroll up, and then go to webhooks.
Webhooks.
And what you're going to do is you're going to click add endpoint.
Yep.
You're going to paste that in.
Yeah.
You're going to select the format, which is raw, and you're going to select all these events. Once you've selected all events, you're going to click generate.
Well, you can't just...
You're going to copy this
Hold
secret.
on a minute. There's no select all. Is there? Can I shortcut and tick? No. Okay, so one by one, we're going to manually tick these because they haven't considered that we would want to do this. So fast forward.
You're going to select all these events. Once you've selected all events, you're going to click generate.
Click generate.
You're going to copy this secret.
Copy secret.
And you're going to paste it here.
Paste it.
And
All
what
right.
you have to do is you're going to verify that you set it. So you have no product.
Hold on. I think that was it. You have no... Okay, that's what he was getting to.
I made a mistake here. You have to click create. Make sure you click create.
So I made the same mistake that he just made. So don't make the mistake. All right, clicked create. And do I refresh?
But if I go back, it says here you have no Polar products. We actually force you to create at least one product before moving on the next step. So we're going to go back to Polar. We're going to click on products.
Okay, so in order for this to work, you have to have at least one Polar product. So we're going to come over here and we're going to go to products and add a new product.
And we're going to name this whatever you want.
Yep.
Add
description.
$10 a month.
Monthly.
And that's pretty much it.
Okay, so we'll do a monthly subscription and fixed price, $10. If you truly want to do a SaaS business, it's going to be a subscription-based service. You can do tokens, you can do one-time payments, but if you want to set up a SaaS business where you have monthly recurring revenue, you need to set up some sort of subscription-based service. So very important. Ad price is going to add another. Did it just add another thing I didn't need? Yeah, it's just going to add more. Do not click add price. It's going to add some other things that you have to fill in or restart because I couldn't see how to delete them. So don't do that. Just go to create product. And now we have a product. Is it going to change? Let's refresh. Yes, you have one Polar product set up. And now we're going to go and set up the integration. So wasn't too painful. Again, as far as it goes for non-coders, they've included this tutorial, which was helpful because otherwise I'd be stumbling through. Then it would say no product and I'd have to go back. And so cool that they've made that quite simple, quite clean. And I've got my prompt here still. Hit next. And now we're going to see it building. So it's creating the PRD. It's done that. It's now creating the mermaid diagram. So the flow, again, these are things that I typically do beforehand and then give it to the AI. So when I've used Lovable, when I've used Bolt, I've created these things ahead and then given it all to the AI. So this is quite amazing that it's doing all of this for me. So we've got our PRD, we've got our user flow, and let's just see if it's grasped what I'm trying to do. It says SaaS platform, so I don't know if it knows what I'm getting at with that, but enables self-published authors to create professional coloring books and other low content publications that comply with Amazon KDP application, featuring AI powered content generation, drag and drop page builder, awesome integration with File AI. I can change this. Awesome Fal AI API for generating coloring book style illustrations based on user prompts. OpenAI powered pre-configured Amazon KDP compliant book size templates. Yes. Typography control panel. Cool. That's a huge weight off of your shoulders. I typically connect to Supabase down the line. So I try and build out what I need to build out first and then connect to Supabase. But I've essentially set my project up for success from the very beginning because I've done the database connection and I've done the payment integration. Those are the two things you need for a SaaS business. If you don't set those up, or if you cannot set those up properly, or if you make a mess setting those up, you do not have a SaaS product. So I love that they've got that right from the very beginning. So not only have we got this like crazy architecture, book editor interface, design customization, that it's planned everything exactly how I wanted it from my very basic text prompt. So without giving it all of the documentation that I give, it's already done all of that and it's already connected to the two most important things. So I have no reason for this project not to go exactly how I want it to go. And I think that's a big issue with some of these tools is, yes, you can type in the prompt and they make it seem like it's really simple. And then when you get deep into the weeds, you realize this is actually not that easy. So far, so good. So far, so good. very clear. So far, we've done all of this in the free account. So we've got 4 prompts left today. 4 prompts left. So it's done all of that within the first prompt. It's helped you set up. It's done the PRD for you. It's connected to your payment processor and your database. And here we are. Would you like me to continue with the next set of sub-tasks? I'm just going to tell it yes. It looks like now it's adjusting. Let's move this over. We don't actually need the code. I don't think we need the code. And then we can see more what's going on. Get shorter. So now we're looking like we want it to look. So initially it had a wireframe design for the landing page, and it was waiting for my idea for what I wanted it to look like. So it didn't just jump to its own conclusion. Initially, it waited. So we had the outline, gave me a second to go through the PRD, make the changes I needed. It said fail AI. It said a few different things that it took from my transcription. So I could have added more to it, but I think it hit the nail on the head. It's very simple in what it does, and any other additional feature can be added. But because we've got that basic setup with, I say basic, but the integral setup of Superbase and the payment system, everything else that we're building on top, it now knows to create all of the migrations and the database and whatnot. So what I want to see is if it's going to do that without me telling it to, if it's just going to go ahead and make these things as we go. But from the user flow, let me make this big. This user flow is very, very intuitive. So we've got user enters platform, user logs in, registration. I've just changed that because I've made it so they're not required to register in order to see and test. And I think that works really well. If you notice on a lot of these tools, you can just start. They want to get you to start. And then if you're won over, then you become a customer, then you become a client. And that's the way to do it. Give them some of the value up front so they know what they're getting. They know they're in the right place. Otherwise, they may just click off. And I do the same. If I can't see what I want initially, then I'm clicking off. So I told it to allow the user to get a taster of the tool or from the very beginning. So that's what it's done. And then we've got this workflow. So create a new book project. Select the compliant template, configure the book settings, enter title, description. I didn't tell it any of this. So it's built this entire diagram, this mermaid diagram of the user flow, of how everything works, and even exporting. So I don't know if we can export directly to KDP, if that's a thing. It might just open it up for you and help you fill out the project. That's an idea. But everything else is spot on, and that's without much guidance. You saw the prompt that I gave it, or you heard it. So let's check this out. I'm gonna close. Can I just, yeah, now we've just got the design screen. I would put it on my bigger screen, but I've started recording on my MacBook screen, so we're just gonna have to deal with this. But we can move all the elements around, and we've got the different pages, back, forward, refresh. We can get it to redesign anything that we want. So that's the component for pricing. This is the edit page, which I can't wait to get into. Oh, edit component, sorry. So we can zoom right in on that component, and this is the home page. So let's open that up. Okay, KDP Book Designer, start creating free. View examples. None of these things work yet. No design skills needed. KDP compliant templates. So this again is following the wireframe that it had before. It looked like this, but without the colors, without the image, which you would change. You just make it like a screenshot of a produced thing. But this is cool. This is awesome. This is exactly what I had in mind. So, and they can generate the illustration and then book preview. Okay, this is cool. None of it's going to be functional right now. It's got the rest of the pages still the same, but then it's added that kind of color aspect of it. What I'm going to get it to do, I'm running out of prompts now. I'm going to have to upgrade. But what I'm going to get it to do before is add this. So let's go on 21st.dev. I've been waiting to use this since the first time I saw it. I wanted to use this, and now I have a reason, a valid reason. Wow, they've got some new stuff. Is it this? Copy prompt. Let's just see. And you don't have to do anything like this. This is me being extra. Now, I don't know if it's going to install this, but let's see. I'm going to give it the URL. So if we head over to our project in Superbase, you go over to table editor, we can see that it's been adding the table. So we don't have any active subscription, so that's not going to show. because that's based on somebody actually going through the payment, paying and whatnot. So we can test it because it's set up to test with the Polar. That's completely set up. Now, most importantly, I signed up, I made my account, and I now have my user. So everything is already set up for us. So that direct integration takes something that people are most concerned about, which is the payment setup, the auth setup, the database, and simplifies it completely to the point where it's done in the beginning, you don't have to worry about it, and then you can just focus on building your app, which is the main thing, focusing on building the features, and you don't have to worry about how everything integrates because it's sorted the most important thing, which is planning, keeping it clean. So what I've noticed is that as your project gets bigger, you're going to need to make sure that the planning and all of this stuff is on point. And if you don't know how to do that, and you don't know what you're doing, it's your first time, you're going to make some major mistakes. But if you're using something like this that bakes it into the process, you're going to minimize your chances of errors and failure. And again, the biggest reason I see people quit building their SaaS tools with these AI coding tools is they don't know where to go when they are stuck, and things that they're stuck on are not easy things for non-tech people. So loving this. Now what it's doing, let's see, it's created a new hero section. All right, we've got one issue. What a time to get an issue. I'm out of my free prompts, so I'm gonna have to upgrade and then come back to this build. All right, so I'm all upgraded and I've added a few new features. Nothing to be alarmed about. Right now it's showing this error because I've told it I want to add the FAL AI API, and now it wants my API key, but I think it doesn't really know because I didn't give it the documentation. I just said to add it. So don't do that. Make sure that you get the documentation for the thing that you want to add, FAL API, and the model that I want to use. And I'm going to tell it, let's see what it does with that information. And I'm going to get the API key in the meantime. Okay, so it says, I've updated the FAL AI authentication logic to only use API key as specified in the documentation. Okay, now the component is ready to use with just your FAL AI API. Where do I input? I'm being lazy, but I want it to show me that box again, so I can just put the API key in the box. Let's see if it's going to show me that box again. Yes, so it cost me a credit, but there we go. Okay, so I do still have an issue. Let's see what the issue is first. Unexpected. Okay, let's just let AI fix that. Down here, as you can see, there is this toolbar that allows you to go even further into what you're doing. So you don't have to use this main section, which is what most tools have. You can actually, for instance, select AI, and then within that, you've got pick and add context. So let's say I want to change this image. I can click here and I can give it some direction, or I can attach a file. So every granular thing that you want to do, you can get deep in and edit and change. That way you don't always have to trust that the AI is going to do the thing you want it to do without destroying something else. I'm still learning, but there are a bunch of different things down here. So for example, if you want to add a H2 onto the page, an entire section, you can. You don't have to tell the AI or go into the code to add that in. So if you're not comfortable with editing the code, you never really have to go into it. You can just do all the things that you need to do from the front end, and you're not wasting credits telling the AI to do it as well. I'm loving that, because otherwise, again, if you're not comfortable, then you have to tell the AI to do it. It might seem like a small feature, but when you're dealing with credits, so every time you call the AI, it's costing a credit, and it's something small that you need to do, these things make a huge difference, especially if you're trying to make sure that your credits go a long way. Now, in order to scroll through the different elements of any of these components, I've got to change it to preview mode. So now when I click on anything, I can just navigate through it. So I'm going to open this up, and this is what the example looks like. So I'll probably replace those with actual coloring book style images so they can see what they're getting. And everything else with regards to the homepage, I think this is dynamically pulling in the test payment options, which is good because you don't have to make payment cards. You can get it to dynamically pull in, which shows you that it's connected properly. And then you can just get it to redesign these actual cards. So that's quite cool. I'm going to go to dashboard, and I've got some headers floating around over here that I need to remove. But now the AI illustration is the next thing I want it to actually have working. And I'm a huge proponent of get your MVP done. Get it done and dusted. All the extra fluffy, fun things that you want to add, they can be added after. But your main thing, the main project that you want working, just get it done. So focus on those things. So calendar, I think it added those things. Project, dashboard, home is all I need right now. I need the AI illustration working with my prompt, and I need the user to be able to do this at scale, I think, because of how the package is going to be. So shape, it adds shapes, but it only adds squares. And the click and drag, well, it was working. Click and drag is supposed to, and Claire was working and now it's not. Yeah, so I think what I'll do is remove the shape element. Actually, shape might be useful for behind the text. So, okay, I'll improve the shape element. Remove the image because we're going to be generating the images. So I may be able to collate these two. Just simplify this. And then I think redo, undo instead of clear, or both. See, these are things I didn't think about. But let's just see what we can do. So I'm going to go back into the dashboard from here. This does take getting used to, especially if you're not used to being able to control all of the elements. So you can just right click and delete, which is awesome. And of course you can right click on any other component and do different things with it. I'm scared to try to duplicate this, but I will edit it with AI, and I'm going to tell it to make this design canvas area bigger so it takes up more of the white space. Let's see how it does with that. Let's refresh. It did it. So that's going to save you a lot. I think I would want it bigger, to be fair, but that's going to save you a lot of hassle just selecting the element and then telling the AI to focus on that element. I know that's not groundbreaking. You can do that on Lovable and Bolt. Let me get this removed. All right, so I've asked it to remove the extra sidebar hide tab, and it's done that, and this one still works. Awesome. Now what I'm going to get it to do is fully integrate the FAL, the main function of the tool, so we can just get it done. All right, so untick that. So I need to collect my thoughts to get this out properly, but here's what I'm thinking. Let's integrate for the FAL AI API integration, we need the tool to be able to sequentially generate the coloring book images, and each generated image is assigned to its own page with a maximum of 26 pages. Because I'm thinking it should be in the design layout, they set the text and the page number. No. I've got to have a clear focus. I know what I want in my head, but now it's me getting it out. Each generated image is assigned to its own page with a maximum of 26 pages. The design layout tab should be for creating the global book template that these coloring book images will appear on. So maybe we can remove the page element. So let's say the image page element will represent the placeholder for the coloring book image. The text element should then become page title, and then another page element for footer. Now these elements are optional. Oh, I don't know how to do this. Let's see. But they need to be set for each page. So if the user wants to generate a 26 page coloring book, then they're going to need to set the page title and body or any of the elements they've selected for each page. Does that make sense? If you're unsure that you make sense, like me, you can switch to chat only, and then I'm going to copy this because I always copy it just in case, and then send that. So I've said a bunch of stuff, and I want to check if it makes sense before it goes to implement it. I want to make sure that it understands what I'm trying to do. Let's see what it says. Yes, that makes sense. This is a complex task, and I'll implement the changes incrementally. I'll start by updating the book designer context to include pages array. each containing elements for page title, body, and image. Yes. Then I will modify the design layout tab to allow users to define a global book template with placeholders for image. Okay. I'm thinking if I should, I know I'm in the realm of doing too much, but I'm thinking it might be easier if I set the templates rather than them moving it around. But if it's easy enough and the AI gets what I'm saying, which it looks like it does, then that's fine, because they'll be able to click and drag and move the elements around. But then that's a whole additional prompt. So let's just see. We can only see it's best to push these tools to the limit and see what they can do, but just keep in mind when you're asking it to do something, like it said, that was fairly complex. If it's hard enough for you to get the idea out, then it's complex. It's not something as straightforward as add a nav bar or add this to the footer. All right, so it's working to get that done, and we'll see how it goes. The main thing I'm trying to achieve here is to be able to bulk generate these coloring book pages, and then I've got that's the bulk of the tool. Everything additional is an addition, because if they're able to say what they want it to do, generate it, it's in the margins, download that as a PDF, they can put it in Canva if they want to and add any fun elements to it. Overall, that's not what I'm going for, but as an MVP, it would work. So I couldn't change the images with the attachment like I was hoping to. So I'm in Supabase now, and I'm gonna create a public storage folder called images. Save, and I'm just going to upload the files in here and then put the URLs to them in the code. So wasn't expecting to have to do that, but nonetheless we move. Get URL, simple enough. This is in source component home book design preview. Replace the other 4 example images with these. So it would have been cool if I could have just uploaded, but let's see. Yeah, because I asked it if I could just upload them, and then it tried to create a front end component for adding those images, which we don't want. So it says it's going to replace it. Let's see how it does. Awesome, now we're looking good. All right, examples, those haven't changed. Okay, so what I need to do now is select this component and tell it, just in case, here is the snippet of the code and the images that we want to replace. Paste that. So now it has no choice to get this wrong. I've selected the element and I've given it the snippets. I got sidetracked because I remember that I was trying to implement this when I first started, when I was at the end of my 5 free credits. So I've just done it. There is something else I need to do now, which is again why I recommend just getting the main thing done, because you'll be forever sidetracked by these small shiny things. This is fun, but now I have to take another moment to make sure, give it another prompt to get it to put the animation behind the cards. But this does look amazing, and because it's a coloring book, I think it all fits in. Probably slows the site down, but yeah, it's a nice touch, so I'm gonna keep it. Let's make sure that the splash cursor is behind the components and the text, so it's in the background but still works with the cursor movements. I'm now 3 days into this build and everything is going well, it's in order. I had an issue with the colorful cursor movement. It was slowing everything down, it wasn't working, so Tempo decided to simplify it to this, which is fine. We'll go with this for now. I may return to it after, but again, it was one of those fun things that we didn't really need. But we do have some issues. So if you notice that things aren't working and you're continually telling the AI, fix this, fix this, fix this, go to inspect, go to console and see what the actual issues are on the page. And you can clear this console if you've been navigating around the page and just go to refresh, see what new things come up on load, and then you can take these. I like to drop these down entirely, and you can take these, let's get this one, and then give it to the AI. I like to give it to either Grok or Claude, and I just paste the entire content and see what it says, and then I can give that back to Tempo because it doesn't have the full context of the issue, but this will save you tokens continually saying fix it, fix it, fix it. Sometimes you just need to steer it in the right direction. So as I can see, you're encountering React warnings related to props in your splash cursor component. So that cursor is still causing issues. I'm going to take the chunk and all the warnings, and then I'll give that entire thing to tempo. And then based on what it's recommended, it now has more context. And then the other issue, which is the main thing that needs to be working in this tool, is the FAL AI integration. So I've cleared the console, and this is what's going to happen when I try to give it the prompt. I'm going to paste that in, generate, and these errors come up immediately. So that shows you where the issue is. So you don't have to guess. And I know my API key is showing up in the console, but that's fine, it gets deleted. I'm going to take this now, these errors. I'm also going to take the screenshot, and I've asked it to fix this a few times and had issues. Okay, so that's fine. Whatever issue that was, I couldn't see, but it was causing some issues in the background. The main thing I still need to fix is this failure to generate the image, and so we're going to copy and I'm going to attach the image. So it says I'm using a deprecated package, so that's the issue. So again, I'm going to go and give this all to tempo. So I'm going to paste the docs. I'm also going to paste this part here, and then I'll paste the comprehensive fix, and then hopefully that's everything. And if this works, if this fixes it, then I am good to go. Okay, it's looking promising. It's actually generating now. It's not showing the error. So let's see. I also need to make sure. Nice. I had to double check if it was the same squirrel image I had, but it's not. Same prompt, different squirrel. So that's awesome. So that works. But there are things that we need to do, because that's just the image. Why is book progress? So we've got page 1, we've got page 2, design layout. They're not corresponding very well. So we can generate the images, which is awesome. We need to be able to generate them at scale, and they need to correspond with the template. I've given it a big prompt to kind of clean everything up and gel everything together. So I'm going to switch to chat only, so it doesn't start writing any code. It just brainstorms on what I want to do and what I want to build. I'm going to give it that. I don't have to tell it not to write the code because it's in chat mode. That sounds good, but I want you to create a full implementation spec of how we can improve this and get it ready for production. Okay, so it's created a plan and it's made subtasks. Implement the template, saving logic, modify the image generation process to automatically insert generated images into designated image placeholders within the active template, refactor, organization, maintainability, potential extracting reusable logic into custom hooks. Some other things I don't understand, create a template management interface, and implement PDF export functionality, integrating a PDF generation library to export the designed book with integrated images and template elements. I've told it to proceed, but there was one thing I didn't mention, which is actually setting the page title and content. I've not figured out how to do that in my head, which is the main issue, because I need to know how that would work, because we've got the placeholders, but where would we apply the actual text? So I'm thinking down here, so from design layout, something below that shows up, that has like boxes for page title content for page 1, page 2, page 3, and then the ability to just copy to all if they want the same content on every page. Color the blah 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 blah. We'll keep it simple. Allow them to edit the placeholder text according to the page. I think that makes the most sense. It's still quite easy to do, to put it all together, and in future I can tweak it to make it so they can just copy all or generate the text to go with the image. I think that would make sense, to be able to generate some coloring book text to go with it. If you're new to code or no code, the console is your best friend. It's your absolute best friend. So I'm getting an error when I go to save my template. Everything works when I click create first template, but then as soon as I try to save it, I get this error. And here is the console log. I was hoping I could get it MVP ready in these 3 days, but this is so common with these kinds of builds, where you have the scope of your project in your mind, But as you're building, these small things start to come up with logic. But they're not actually small things. It's quite a big deal, but you don't consider it until you're building. That's why I say to focus on the main thing, the main logic of the thing, because otherwise you're going to be forever adding new features. This would be cool, this looks cool, focusing too much on design element. But what I love is that Tempo helped me with that initial step, and then the design has been flawless. This is I wouldn't need to change anything. So as we go, it's already doing everything I would like with design, and it's just about the functionality. So even if you have a simple micro SaaS idea, you're going to want to plan that out and make sure that you're focusing on the key things so you can get it to production and then tweak them as you go. That's the most important thing. Before I close this up, I'm going to test these packages. I made 2 packages. I just went back into Polar and added another product, 10 coloring books per month, and then it gives them the per book value, and then that's the SaaS setup. So I'm going to run the test payment. I know on Stripe this is the test card number, and then you can just put anything in expiry and security code, and then card holder, just put my name, country, I guess you can do anything, discount code, subscribe, payment successful, getting your products ready. And you do need to test this, because if you've not told it to redirect to the dashboard on successful payment and you've not set up that auth, then nothing's going to happen. It redirected, but we've gone over to this error saving template. Also, I've not set up anything in settings or profile to say what subscription they've got. So those are minor things, but very, very big things. But I would definitely focus on, I've just received an email saying, congrats, you have a new subscriber from Polar. That's cool. I'm going to build this out. I do have a self-publishing community, so it makes sense to just see this through. So I'll be using Tempo to complete this. So make sure that you are subscribed if you want to follow along. And of course, if you want to check out Tempo, I've left a link in the description. Until next time, peace.